Hello, my Nyctophiliacs. I'm Illuminant. Have you missed me? I've missed you. I would like to apologize for the lateness of this video. I thought it prudent to learn how to use my new audio equipment before I put out a subpar video. Tonight, I have an original story written by the amazing Lizard Queen. So sit back, close your eyes, and enjoy the comforts of the dark. Game Over by the Lizard Queen. This feels very familiar. I couldn't help but think as I walked past the dilapidated buildings, crowbar poised in front of me. Somewhere, off in the distance, I could hear the snarl of a beast and the quick scream of a woman that was suddenly cut off. The sound was strangely comforting, something I would rather hear than the deafening silence that seemed to follow me everywhere. I know I have gone through this path before, but for whatever reason, I can't seem to get away from it. For what has felt like hours, I have trudged along this long-ass road, seeing the same buildings rise and fall around me. The same car I passed not even 5 minutes ago, gleaming in the dark, illuminated by the steady fire burning within its chassis. What is the point of all this? I asked myself for the millionth time. There had to be a reason, but none seemed to come. Up ahead, I could see the slow shuffle of a man, long since dead, make his way towards me. His one good arm was stretched outward, his apparent need for sustenance laced with each haggard step. I sighed inwardly and readied myself for the inevitable fight. Why am I standing here waiting for this monster to attack me when I could simply just run away? Another question I seemed to ask myself over and over again. But none of that really mattered as the creature finally got close enough to attack. I swung the crowbar haphazardly and heard the crunch of bone as the metal made impact with its rotten flesh. He fell, a victim to both whatever plague had turned him into the walking dead and my unending fury of being stuck in the situation I was in. And like I had always done before, I picked through his pockets, hoping to find something, anything, that may be of use. Ha! I thought as I found a small caliber revolver in the man's back pocket. Quickly checking the cylinder, I found 4 bullets still inside, definitely not the gold mine I would need to survive long term, but a good find nonetheless. I stowed the treasure away and continued to look through the ravaged body for any other trinkets I may need. As though appearing out of thin air, a box of ammo lay next to the body, along with a few gold coins. This is just too fucking weird. How can things just appear out of nowhere? Is this a fucked up version of Star Trek? I chuckled at the little joke as I set off to continue the journey my feet seemed determined for me to make. More of the dead shuffled around the sidewalk, but for once I was in no hurry to kill them off. Instead, I found myself moving towards the police station that was coming up on the right. This decision made sense to me. If I was going to find anything that would help me survive, or God willing, another helpless soul, it would be in the one place that was guaranteed to be fortified against the atrocities that had overtaken the city. Unfortunately, it also meant going through a group of 3 undead but not dead dogs that stood guarding the entrance. Of course, I could just try and skirt past the dogs by going through the entrance that the cops go through. Nope. I guess we're gonna fight these 3 demon dogs. Yay. The dog closest to me growled menacingly as I hesitantly readied myself for its leap. And as sure as the sun sets, the dog leapt into the air, its fleshy jowls flaking off as it did so. The 2 others stood in attack positions, waiting for the obvious alpha of the pack to kill their prey. I had no intention of becoming their next meal, however, and quickly grabbed the revolver. 1 shot, 2 shots, 3 shots, and the first dog was down, chest heaving as it quietly gave into the death it should have experienced the first time around. The other 2 dogs were not deterred though, and I took quick aim and took the one out on the left. One shot was sufficient, thankfully, as it sunk itself deep into the creature's poor skull, but I wasn't quick enough to stop the other rabid undead dog from taking a nice chomp out of my right. I screamed in protest or pain, I have no real idea, before I pummeled the beast with fist, crowbar, and the butt of the handgun. Fuck, I thought as I looked down at the mangled mess that used to be my arm. I could already see angry black lines coursing away from the bite, revealing that whatever infected these poor dogs was already working its way into infecting me as well. To my surprise, however, the corpse of man's best friend dissolved into nothingness, more reminiscent of a vampire than a zombie dog. A medical kit replaced the body of the third one, taunting me with its futile supplies. Whatever was in there would surely not be enough to cure the disease, so its sudden presence felt more like a slap in the face than the aid it was meant to be. Whoever the sick bastard is that's running this circus is going to get their ass kicked if I ever find them, I thought to myself, sick pleasure coursing through me. Still, the medical kit would at least clean the wound and, hell, maybe even have something for pain. If I'm going to die, I thought, I can at least keep going and take out as many as I can. I awkwardly knelt down beside the kit and fumbled with the clasp. Things were difficult to do with one arm, but the other refused to cooperate with the orders my brain kept giving it. After a few tries and a couple of creative curses, I got the damn thing open. Inside was like a small treasure trove. Bandages, antiseptic creams, even some glorious ibuprofen. It wasn't much, but it was still way more than I had a few seconds ago. As if fate hadn't already shot me the giant middle finger, a low snarl sounded off behind me, letting me know that another dead asshole had come to take another bite. By this point, though, I was thoroughly pissed and moved quickly to dispatch whatever had snuck up behind me. It was a child, an undead child. It just stood there, snot running from its nose, a sign that it hadn't been dead for very long. A huge chunk of his torso was missing. His shirt hung in tatters. My first immediate reaction was one of pity, followed quickly by the overwhelming desire to put him out of his misery. But, like so many times before, my body refused to react, and I just sat there, staring numbly at the little death machine inching itself closer and closer to my position. Hard as I had tried, nothing could motivate my body to react to the situation I was in. When all hope seemed lost and I was about to admit defeat, hands roughly grabbed me and dragged me inside the station. A quick shot loudly reverberated around the room as a bullet whizzed past and buried itself into the child's cranium. Like a sack of bricks, he fell, dead for a second time. Jesus, are you all right? The person, a policeman, said after our ears recovered from the sound of the gunshot. I looked down at myself. The medical kit still somehow was in my lap. As I took in my new surroundings, I had gone from being alone with no help in sight to several officers trained to handle intense situations crowding around me, concern on every single face. "Oh my God, she's been bit," a shrill woman's voice screamed from some corner of the lobby. With everything that had just happened, I'd completely forgotten the fact that I had been bitten and dumbly responded with, "Ow." The cop who saved me looked at my arm and then down at the med kit. His eyes widened at a jar inside the kit, something I hadn't had a chance to examine before. "It's all right. What's in that jar will stop the infection," he said, pointing at the bottle. He knelt down beside me and without hesitation began pouring the strange green liquid from the jar all over the wound. Like magic, it started to knit together in a strange display of time reversal. The black lines that indicated the infection was spreading receded quickly back to the original source before disappearing altogether. "Whoa," was all I could mutter before the world began to spin and everything faded to black. "I think she's coming to," a voice came from somewhere far away. My eyes fluttered open at the sound, and I found myself sprawled on the ground. People were once again crowded around me, some with apprehension on their faces, as though they were ready for me to suddenly pounce and munch on some grade A human steak. Fortunately for them, no such desire overcame me, and I sat up. What happened? My arm throbbed as the blood rushed back into it, but I was amazed at how good it felt. Actually, I felt pretty good overall. You passed out after Tom poured that green shit on your bite, the woman said. The one that had yelled, if I had to guess. Uh-huh. Well, I feel fine. Better than fine, really. I'm just happy to see you, I responded as I got up from the floor. It was far from comfortable. My back was beginning to protest. As I took in the people and the room around me, I noticed that there was 5 in total, 3 who were police officers and 2 that looked to be civilians. Somewhere, beyond the lobby, a muted roar could be heard. What the fuck was that? I practically screamed at them. The officer who helped me earlier looked at his colleagues before answering. That? Well, that's a tough question to answer. He looked awfully uncomfortable, and the rest of them looked mighty unsettled. The roar continued unabated as Tom did his best to answer my question. I don't know really why, but my mind seemed to have skipped through Tom's explanation and came back only at the end, where he pleaded with me to go down and slay the beast. Of course I thought, oh hell no. But once again my mouth seemed to move on its own and gave the answer that I never hoped to say. Sure. Everyone looked relieved as I agreed to take on this impossible task, and I still have no idea why I agreed to it in the first place. I had no real training in shooting a gun, much less mowing down mutated monsters. This was so out of my wheelhouse that I couldn't help but just stand there, stunned over my response. It felt like I spaced out again, because the next thing I knew, I was walking down a deserted corridor of the police station, a bulletproof vest slowing me down, and a heavy shotgun gripped tightly in both my hands. How on earth did I get myself into this situation? Why do I keep making these dumbass decisions? I had no answer to that, and my body didn't seem to care one way or the other. The roaring I heard earlier sounded closer, but still far enough away for me to change my mind, turn back around and tell everyone to fuck off. Of course, that wasn't what I did, so I continued down the hall, dispatching undead police officers and criminals as I went. Everything seemed to move in kind of a blur for me, though. One minute, I was using the buttstock of the shotgun to cave in a poor woman's skull. The next, I was face to face with the nightmare-inducing monster that was responsible for all the damn noise. Holy shit! I yelled as the bastard pummeled its way towards me. It was huge, easily 8 feet tall, and looked to be a giant mishmash of dead body parts taken from the corpses that were strewn across the floor. Its eyes were no longer in the correct place, but moved down to its enormous chest. Its arms were covered with giant pus-filled sores that glistened in the overhead lighting. Jutting from its neck, an arm that looked like it came from a baby flailed wildly, smacking its owner repeatedly in the face. This seemed to piss the monster off even more as it used its meaty hand to bat the assault away. I stood there frozen as that thing quickly reached me and barely dodged a giant fist as it took a massive swing at me. Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! I repeated in my mind as I worked on steadying my aim at the 2 eyeballs in its chest. I had no real way of knowing if this would damage it, but it was the only thing I could get my brain to do. BAM! BAM! The shotgun went as I pumped round after round into Fate's twisted Grim Reaper. The damage did little to deter it though, and I was forced to dodge yet another wild swing. My heart raced as I aimed and fired 4 more rounds into the bastard's torso, none of which did much damage. Oh, come on! I shouted in frustration as I ran as far from the monster as possible. I needed to reload quickly, but I couldn't get my hands to obey my brain and ended up running around in circles like a complete and utter idiot. Fucking do what I want you to do, body! I screamed at myself as Mr. Happy's fist came down, crushing my shoulder. I screamed for real this time as pain flooded all of my senses, stunning me. The world tilted and my feet left the ground as I was raised high into the air, 2 hands holding me in a death grip.
"Oh, God!"
I yelled one last time as the fury of the monster crushed down on me. My skull caved in. Far too slowly, I felt life slip out of me, pulling around the room in thick curtains of red. My brain, now mush, could still register everything that was going on around me, and I could see that the monster broke through the wall, no doubt to find the other survivors in the station. I whimpered, the last sound I would ever make, as the words, "Game over," flashed in red above my body. Wait, what? Game? What the? This feels very familiar, I couldn't help but think as I walked past the dilapidated buildings. Why does it feel like I've done this before? Thank you for joining me, my Nyctophiliacs. I'll see you soon, and remember to embrace the darkness. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get the notifications. And if you're feeling especially kind, share this video on social media. I'd like to take a moment to thank my very special supporters for helping me improve my production abilities. Bathsheba, PA Nightmares, Fearcrawler, Slumber Reads, Creepy Clown Girl, Deadline Podcast, Lady Spookaria, Timothy Duran, Kenny Dreadful, and Mysterio of Dezombified. Thank you.